Welcome to Crash Course in Commercial Real Estate. We converted our in-house training program to a podcast to teach you prospecting, negotiation, business planning, and other fundamental skills to become a successful commercial real estate agent. And now, here's your host, Brady Collier.
All right, well, welcome back. Today I'm going to ask Kyle Cowan the same question I'm going to ask all of our guests, and that is what attributes, what characteristics of a person make them successful? So Kyle, in case they haven't watched any other episodes, how long have you been in the business and exactly what do you do?
Yeah, so I've been in the business about 6 years. My specialty is in the retail space, and so I work with both landlords and tenant reps on mostly leasing, a little bit of acquisition and sales as well. So that makes up about 95% of my brokerage business.
And in case this is your first one to ever see, I'm Brady Collier, and I'm in Lubbock, Texas. I've been in the commercial real estate space for about 20 years now, and I've seen multifamily, some office, industrial, some retail. We have other episodes on that. And so across the board, no matter which vertical, as you said in the last episode, they're in, whether it be office, industrial, multifamily, let's talk about what makes somebody successful in the commercial real estate industry. There's attributes, there's characteristics that would make you a successful doctor, that would make you a successful attorney. You know, an attorney's got to be able to memorize massive amounts of stuff and recall it really quickly. Maybe a doctor should have empathy or should have whatever. So when you think about in your last 6 years, and by the way, Kyle is in the top 2 to 3 real estate agents, not only in our market, but in West Texas and even beyond in the NAI network. He's top 30 agents across the country in our network. So he's had a lot of success. So you have some of those attributes, but you've also dealt with some of the best brokers in the country negotiating on behalf of your tenants as you've taken them into 12 plus states over the last year. So I want to ask you this question because you've seen great agents and you've seen really bad agents.
Right.
When you look at all the agents that are really great in commercial real estate, if Shannon's looking at herself and everybody out there, what attributes would you say they have in common?
Yeah, so one thing I'm amazed at is how many different types of people are successful brokers. So there are, I think, some common characteristics between a lot of them, but there are men and women and young and old and more reserved and more extroverted, and there's really a pretty diverse type of people. And there are some you meet and you're really surprised how successful they are, but they found the area of business that they're able to succeed in with how they're gifted and what their talents are. But two that come to mind, I'll do two that I think are across the board, is all of them have confidence. They have confidence in what they are doing. And sometimes I even think it's misplaced confidence. They shouldn't be confident, but they're not afraid to pick up the phone and make the call and have the conversations and make the ask. And so I think confidence would be unique among all top brokers. The other, and I think this one is probably underrated, is the ability to solve problems. And I talked about this in other episodes, but you have to be able to problem solve because they're coming to you with some problem. I need to invest this money. I need to find an asset. I need to find a location. And then when they come to you with that problem, there's a lot of problems they don't even realize. The average deal falls apart 3 or 4 times before it eventually gets done. And so the ability to not back down and look at something that someone else might throw away as this deal's dead, but to say, no, we're going to figure out a solution here. We're going to solve the problem. We're going to get this deal to the finish line.
Yeah, I would agree with the problem solving. It's funny, I had willing to step into any situation, willing to pick up the phone and make the call. It gets hard. It's harder than you think. When you have a problem, there's tension. And as Kyle said, he said the average deal falls apart 2 to 3 times per deal. That's true. And I can think of 1 or 2 deals in the last 20 years that I've worked on where I did not have problems, and some of them very substantial. I mean, the deal that you were a part of last week, one of the 2 principals died 3 days into due diligence. That's a problem. And you got to be willing to step into hard circumstances. So I think that's a great one. And problems, almost everybody in the world is thinking within a box. And it turns out there's lots of solutions to all of the problems. And so somebody who's really creative and who can say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Will find solutions. And that's how you're a value add to your customers and your clients, is when they didn't think of the solution to the problem. Everybody sees the problem. But that 1 out of 100 person who says, this is how we could tackle that problem. What about this solution? And who knows at the right time how to step into that problem. I think that's a great attribute. So I like confidence, willing to make the call. I like problem solving. And then I will add on one more, and that's social discernment. I'm going to say that really successful agents read social situations really well. Moderate agents don't read social situations very well. They don't know which way to go in a circumstance, and so you're really discerning socially. After we've gotten to know you, yes, of course. But when I look at top agents, they're just natural, and they just know how to take conversations. They know how to take situations. They know that helps them in negotiation. That helps them in problem solving. Helps them in relationship building. In the end, people deal with you if they like you and if they trust you. They trust you if you've solved problems and helped them achieve goals. And so I feel like that social discernment is one that
because confidence without social discernment is pretty dangerous. And we've seen that, bite brokers and
Absolutely.
made deals fall apart or made relationships fall apart if they don't discern how to.
I've got several other ones here on my list, but I'm going to save some of that because we're going to have other guests come in and join us, and they're all going to throw them out there, and so we'll dialogue with them as well, and then we'll just clip all these together and throw it out there for the future. But recapping, willing to step into problems or situations, confidence, problem solving, and social discernment. Those were our first 4 attributes that we feel like makes a really successful commercial real estate agent.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, Joe Magby is here with NAI in Lubbock, and Joe, I'm asking all of these quote-unquote special guests on our little show here the same question. We're going to put them all together into one episode, and that is, what makes a successful commercial real estate agent? And it's interesting because everybody I ask this question has different characteristics, but for those that are out there that are thinking, would I be a good commercial real estate agent? They're going to be able to watch all of these people who are very successful in the industry, and they're going to say, are those characteristics that I have, should I get into this industry? So this is the one question that's not for Shannon. Shannon's already made the jump. She's already in the industry. But there's going to be people out there who want to know, should I get into this industry? Would I be a good fit?
I think it's almost like being a high stakes poker player. You have to be able to be consistent and do consistently the right things despite the highs and lows. So there are some months where you're busy, you got a lot of closings, a lot of good things are happening, and it's great. Still got to be consistent. There are some months where you're just fighting to breathe, and you just got to be consistent, consistently do the right things every day, and you can almost say grind it out, where it doesn't matter whether you're on the mountaintop or down in the valley, you're always doing the right things. So
okay, so that's the right things as far as coming in and doing the work.
Yeah.
Okay, what personal attributes, that's great, thank you. What personal attributes of all the commercial real estate agents that you know, the ones that are really successful, they are this or they are that? Name like it's personality aspect, it's just something about them. How would you characterize them?
They're easy to talk to.
So they're relational.
They're relational, yeah, and they're not always necessarily gregarious or fun-loving or any of those things, but they're easy to talk to. They pick up on conversation cues really fast. They understand where a conversation is going. They can keep track with multiple points in a conversation fairly easily. They're people who pay attention and listen well. So I think they're conversational. They're easy to talk to, easy to understand, and easy to get to know really quickly, I would say.
They're people.
They're people.
And they're relationship people.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I think that a couple of things that stand out are first, it really is, I think, mindset probably more than anything else, of having a clear vision of who you are and who you want to be, and actively acting in it. I guess in that identity every single day. So getting to work and actually working, having an objectives that you're completing through the day is a really big deal. And just diligent work, focused work.
So very helpful. Focus on the most important things and be consistent in those daily. That's number one. And then if you haven't forgotten, what was your number 2?
It's kind of a funny thing that we talk about in our office, but it's silly because my brother Bo is also another successful agent in our office, and he always says you just got to think. So he goes into the office every single day and he'll sit down, and we laugh about this at first, but once we start actually applying it ourselves, it's very impactful. But he goes, to the office every single day and he sits down and says, what do I need to do today to make $100,000 today? What is something I could do to make $100,000 today? And then go and do those things. And so once there's also another element of just doing these activities. If those activities are just empty activities without strategy and thinking through what would be a very, working smart and not just hard is also the other component to it. I think those are just probably the two. It's really simple. It's not that complicated. Just work and work smart.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And you're not the first person. I've asked several people that question, and that's been a common answer. So I think it's good. All right. Thank you for that.